Have you ever looked back at a financial decision you made and just winced? Like, what on earth was I thinking? Well, it turns out it might not be entirely your fault. Your own brain, believe it or not, could be hardwired to play tricks on you, especially when money's on the line. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the hidden mental traps that can trip up even the smartest investors. It's a huge question, right? I mean, we all think we're rational people. We think we make logical choices, especially when it comes to our finances. But then you look around and you see people chasing hot trends, holding on to losing stocks for way too long, or just betting the farm on a super risky idea. The reason isn't about intelligence. Nope. It's about a series of predictable, kind of universal glitches in how we think. And yeah, there's a name for these glitches: cognitive biases. You can think of them as mental shortcuts. Our brains take them all the time to process information faster. And, in day to day life, they're super useful. But in the complex world of investing, whoa, they can be incredibly destructive. They cause us to misjudge risk and make decisions based on emotion instead of logic. All right, let's dive into the first one. This is a biggie. It's a trap that feels absolutely fantastic, right up until the moment it blows up in your face. I call it the I can't lose trap. The official name, though, is overconfidence bias. This is basically when you start believing your own hype, you know? It happens when you really overestimate your ability to know where the market is headed or how a certain stock is going to perform. A little bit of success can be a really dangerous thing because it makes us think we're geniuses and forget how much luck was involved. Sound familiar at all? This is the classic internal monologue of someone deep in overconfidence. You nail a couple of trades and suddenly you feel like you've got the Midas touch, like you've cracked a secret code that no one else sees. And that's exactly why it's so dangerous. Overconfidence pushes you to trade way too often, take on far too much risk, and just completely ignore the red flags that are practically waving in your face. It is a direct path to, well, blowing up your portfolio. So, being a little too confident can lead you right into our second trap. This one is all about getting fixated or stuck on a number. We call this the anchoring bias. So, what happens with anchoring is that our brain grabs the very first piece of info it gets, and usually that's a price, and it holds on for dear life. It uses that number as a reference point for every single decision that follows, whether that original number is even relevant anymore or not. This right here is the battle cry of the anchored investor. Look, the market has no idea what you paid for a stock. It doesn't care. Your purchase price, that's in the past. It's a sunk cost. The only thing that truly matters is what the company is worth today. But that anchor keeps you emotionally chained to that old number. And what this does is it creates a kind of mental prison. You see that $500 you paid as the real value, and you see the current market price of 350 as some kind of temporary mistake the world is making. That gap, right there, between your anchor and reality, that's where bad decisions are born. So, and this is the crucial part, anchoring is what stops you from cutting your losses. It prevents you from looking at the investment with fresh eyes based on new information, and it can leave you holding a losing position all the way down. Okay, so if anchoring traps us with information from the past, our third trap isolates us in the present. I'm talking about the echo chamber effect, which is also known as confirmation bias. What's really sneaky about this bias is that it's not just that we prefer information that agrees with us. No, we actively go out and search for it. And at the same time, we conveniently ignore or dismiss or explain away any evidence that contradicts what we already want to be true. This is confirmation bias in the wild 21st century style. You've decided a stock is a winner. So, what do? You curate your entire YouTube feed, your news, everything to support that belief. Anyone who criticizes it, oh, they're just haters. They don't get it. You don't even consider that they might have a really valid point. And the danger here is, well, it's pretty clear, isn't it? It creates these massive blind spots in your research. You end up with a completely one sided, skewed view of an investment, which then builds this false confidence that's based on totally incomplete information. Okay, on to our final section, which covers a pair of biases that are kind of like cousins. They're all about what's top of mind, a battle between what's new versus what's actually true. Let's talk about recency bias and availability bias. So let's break these two down real quick. Recency bias is when you assume that whatever just happened is going to keep happening. The market went up for 3 weeks straight, you think, of course it's going to go up a fourth. Availability bias is similar, but it's more about what's memorable or vivid. A dramatic, scary headline just feels more important and true than a boring but super critical data report. And here's what this looks like in the real world. Chasing a stock that's been on a tear for the last week, that's recency. Panic selling everything when the market drops, also recency. Buying a stock just because you see it trending everywhere on social media, that's availability bias. Avoiding an entire industry after one dramatic news story, pure availability. The shared danger of both of these is that they cause you to react to the noise instead of the signal. You're making decisions based on hype, fear, and whatever just happened, and you're completely ignoring the long term fundamentals that actually drive value. Whew. Okay, so we've identified the traps, we know what they look like. The $1 million question now is how do we get out of them? Let's talk about the path to clarity. So when you see them all laid out like this, it's kind of scary how easily our own minds can lead us down the wrong path. Overconfidence leads to taking on way too much risk. Anchoring gets you stuck with losing stocks. Confirmation gives you massive blind spots. And recency and availability have you chasing hype and selling in a panic. But here's the most important thing I'm going to say today. You can't fight an enemy you can't see. The single most powerful tool you have against all of these mental glitches isn't some complex financial formula, it's just being aware. It's knowing that they exist and that they are actively trying to influence you every single day. Just by understanding these 5 traps, you've already taken the biggest possible step toward making clearer, more rational financial decisions. So I'll just leave you with this one question to chew on. Now that you know the traps, which one has been catching you lately?